World of Warcraft balancing. Has that really ever been a thing? At one point, balance has been just a figment of imagination, especially if you played back in vanilla when the original one-shots were capable of. People would be able to literally press a button and in a single second global cooldown, one-shot somebody in PvP. Gear has been a problem, as players could get some PvE pieces and be able to perform better in PvP, or sometimes even vice versa, be able to gear yourself out in PvP gear to get those extra bit of damage numbers early in the expansion. And even class uniqueness, something that makes us diverse, something that gives us specific abilities or roles that only this certain class or spec can perform better than others, have all made PvP a little bit unbalanced at times. And that's completely fine. There is a threshold that most WoW players, especially the players that do PvP, there's a threshold of acceptance at some point. It's a threshold where, okay, I guess I can deal with this. Yes, a hunter seems to be one-shotting me with aim shot, but you can manage it. It is possible to get around it. Like I remember back in Mists of Pandaria when survival hunters' pets, when they use Stampede, the pets would just destroy everybody in a single go. You would even have like triple BM hunter comps where you would just one-shot the healer with all your pets, and then you one-shot one of the DPS, and then it'll be a 3 versus 1, which is really difficult to lose. The people would get a ridiculous amount of rating. I remember even during Pandaria, another Pandaria example, during one of the seasons, I think it was patch 5.2 if not later, double blood DK for 2's arenas would dominate arenas. Normally we're used to healers dominating arenas, but a double blood death knight kicking ass in arenas is a little bit much in my opinion. I mean, it's a tank and it's dealing more damage than any DPS. It has better survivability than that of a DPS and a healer combined. Like, what the hell, Blizzard? But all this makes a game we all like and enjoy called World of Warcraft, and I feel like the PvPers for World of Warcraft, I'm fairly used to the idea that, hey, you know, sometimes things are going to be imbalanced, but Legion has promised us, and guys behind it, Blizzard, has promised and sold Blizzard with the idea that PvP is going to be a little bit better balanced than the previous expansions, the previous iterations of the game. For example, they're going to standardize the stats and take out the gear to take out all the disbalancing, and taking those things out for the most part have helped. Another thing that has happened in Legion overall, just not in the PvP portion, is they took out a lot of the complexity out of the classes. The rotation is fairly simple, and that's just your basic DPS rotation. But still, for PvP, they wanted to have the complexity that makes PvP viable and makes some specs that, while they might have just a traditional DPS role, be able to give them certain effects that make him viable and useful in certain PvP arena teams, in certain BG elements, in certain moments of PvP altogether. Like, for example, Assassination Rogue getting some of the PvP talents that make it very much viable in terms of putting pressure on multiple enemies at the same time, reducing the healing and such, and that's just one of the classes. So introduction of the PvP talents in order to add complexity into the game and add more stats that can be mitigated, more abilities that can be mitigated and adjusted specifically for PvP is good. So they standardized the stats and gear so everybody's fairly in the same playing field. They didn't take out complexity completely from the game, as complexity is still somewhat there, but I do say the word somewhat, mainly because it will never be the same complexity of previous iterations of expansions, where some classes had some really unique and cool ability designs. But all this was done adjusted in terms and for the sake of the word called balance. The more balanced we can make the game, the better. And we actually can see the fruits of balancing happening on live servers, to my surprise. I like PvP balance. I like when they balance things, even if they just change something, even if they make things unbalanced. I like when Blizzard actually takes time to change PvP aspects of the game. Sometimes they're ridiculous, where you have like DKs that can literally one-shot you in a single breath as soon as you go up without even scoring a stun. Sometimes they'll have healers that can just sit in bear form and they will be live lords for the rest of their life. But it is still cool to see changes happen in the game and then adapting to all the changes and trying to deal with the changes. And to my surprise, since I did say that it's going to be a lot of PvP balancing for Legion, if you look at the pre-patch, even the pre-patch has gotten a few balancing changes. I mean, most of those pre-patch balancing changes are from changes that happened for the level 110 on the beta servers, and then they've been scaled down to Warlords of Draenor and Legion transition to pre-patch level 100 kind of content. And surprisingly, they actually made some decent changes. Like I remember, for example, this is the best way to bring it up and explain the changes, is the pre-patch versus live servers. In the pre-patch, everything was just broken. You had Marksman hunters barraging and piercing, shotting people, basically skill shotting everybody, and that was the way to go. Or you play Fury Warrior and you would use Rampage, which would basically reduce your enemy to no health. And for the most part, most classes just were not viable. Health pools were too low, some damage numbers were too high, and you basically, if you weren't playing Fury Warrior or Hunter, then what the hell are you doing with yourself? And it's completely understandable, completely fine. I kind of get the idea, kind of get the concept of pre-patch and PTR. It's supposed to be broken, and for the longest time, pre-patches before like transition from Cataclysm to Mob and Mob to Warlord, which are the ones that I was able to participate in, so that's all I have as a reference for. The past two pre-patches have been very much imbalanced, and that was completely understandable. Like, people just took the idea, oh, things are just not gonna make sense for a little bit, but that's okay, because once the game fully comes out and we can start leveling, then things will start making a little bit more sense. Completely fine and understandable, right? But they actually made some changes. They increased the health pools, adjusted the numbers, adjusted stats for each spec. They have standardized stats for everybody, and that's just the pre-patch. On the beta, this is even more relevant. On the beta, I've been playing beta for a while, and I've played some classes and some specs, and first of all, I'm going to say, they did a really good job with rogues. Some of the damages were adjusted for rogues, mostly with assassination and subtlety, but it's not like they were adjusted in terms of nerf or buff, but literally adjusted. Some numbers were reduced while others were increased in order to make the playstyle a bit more coherent and consistent. Completely understandable, and Outlaw is performing so well right now, nothing to complain about. But then there were other classes and specs that I decided to just give a try, just give it a go, give it a good old-fashioned try, see how they are played. And some I was fairly surprised with and fairly pleased with, others I found a bit disheartening. There's a lot of classes and specs that I actually had an issue with, one of them being Warlocks. I had a pretty big, I guess, gripe with them. Then I didn't really enjoy how Frost Mages played. I thought Marksman Hunters were destroyed. I thought Elemental Shamans were cool in just one singular build, but then the rest of it was just like, just like almost a half-done show, but not quite, you know, what I was expecting. I was expecting like really good changes, especially after whatever we had with Warlords of Jenner, where Shamans were just like former shell of themselves, like at least compared to Pandaria. But the biggest issue I had is with Shadow Priest, my one favorite alt spec that I developed in Warlords of Jenner, and it was tied to an Insanity mechanic and Void Form, and I felt like the dots weren't dealing enough damage, and I feel like I should stop myself right here and say it is my impressions of the beta, where everything is on the table to change and none of the balancing things have been done. But it is still really difficult to accept something for what it is. Like, for example, if they come out with not a trailer but a teaser footage of a movie, Justice League, and it doesn't come out to be to satisfactory, I guess satisfactory heights that the audience wanted it to be, even though it's not a real trailer, it's just teaser footage combined together to look like a trailer. If people don't find it good, then it's not good. Like, there's not much to say. If it's a duck, it's a duck, I guess is the way my stepdad would always call it. And I just didn't think some of these classes and specs were great. I completely understand that they're gonna change later, but my first impression, my very first impression, just wasn't all up there. It wasn't exactly what I imagined it to be, I guess. But after playing them on the beta, I went back and played all of them. I played Marksman, I played Frost Mage, I played Ellie Shaman, I played myself some Demonology Warlock, which is so bad at one point, and then I played a bit of Shadow Priest. I played them all, and I had a lot of fun. There's not even like a huge amount of changes that has happened to the game in terms of just like patch updates. Yeah, there's some adjustments in artifact weapons and some damage being adjusted for classes, but for the most part, it's just little bits of stats of haste, mastery, agility, intellect, stamina, all those standardizations. The Blizzard promised they would change and adjust for PvP. All those stats are actually getting adjusted, and that makes me super happy just to see that happening again, just to see it come to life. Those stats getting adjusted in order to adjust for what the game needs, adjust for what the classes need, and I guess get better over time. It's just kind of cool to see Blizzard balancing the game. I mean, this is PvP, this is beta, this is season 1 of the beta, and usually the balancing comes in by the last season of an expansion, as has been the case with Pandaria and has been the case with Warlords, more or less. And I do really want to hammer on the idea of more or less. But it's kind of cool just seeing whatever little bit of balancing that is happening not only on beta servers but even on live servers. I guess gives me a bit of hope that, hey, World of Warcraft might be a fairly balanced expansion, especially for the PvP components of the game. And this might be very, very exciting for a lot of people. I know it is definitely exciting for me to be able to see these things live, to be able to watch the progress of it all and see how it evolves, and just overall, I guess I'm pretty happy seeing the direction that everything is going for. I think it's going in the right direction. I don't think it's quite there yet, you know, in the perfect spot where it should be, but it is definitely getting there, and over time I think it'll just get better and better. I guess what I'm trying to say is I'm pretty excited for the expansion and the PvP of Legion. While there are some issues with it and some changes with classes have been adjusted and not everything is perfect, it is definitely not bad. It exceeded my expectations in a good way, and I just wanted to let you guys know about it in a video and open the discussion. So let me know in the comments below how you feel about some of the class changes. First of all, I want to ask you, are you playing on the live pre-patch servers? Are you playing on the live servers in the pre-patch? If yes, do you think the PvP there is fairly balanced, besides Affliction Warlocks being a little bit too strong? Do you think Blizzard is actually taking like very, very noticeable steps in terms of making World of Warcraft PvP a bit more balanced than it has been in the past? And how do you feel that Legion is going to be by the time it releases on 30? Do you feel like the game is going in the direction of balance? Or do you think otherwise and they're just completely destroying the game that everybody used to love and they should bring it back to insert your favorite expansion here or insert your favorite moment here? Like, what are your thoughts on PvP and balancing in particular? I would love to know and hear from you guys. Thank you so much for watching this video. Hope you guys enjoyed this discussion, and I'll see you guys in the next one.